Hey everyone, it's Kyle. I just want to say hi to all my new subscribers. If you're from Veda, I'm excited to have you here at my channel, and this is more of a video. I've been waiting to do this for like a month now and I never got around to it, so pretty much it's a video compiling my entire TTC journey, and I'm going to try to do it quickly. I have no notes in front of me. I'm going off the top of my head, so I hope I don't ramble too much. But anyway, I'm just going to get started. My husband and I have been trying to conceive for almost 3 years. It's like probably a little bit over 2.5 years rather than 3. So we got married in 2010. We got married New Year's Eve 2010 and pretty much just started trying immediately. And when the first 6 months of us not conceiving went by, I honestly had this gut feeling that something was wrong. Only because it was so easy for everybody else to get pregnant. I mean, I know, like, I can name 5 people off the top of my head that got pregnant on the first try. Like, not even just, just had sex one time and got pregnant. So when it wasn't happening for me in those first 6 months, I kind of felt like something might be wrong. But at the same time, I thought, everyone tells you it takes anywhere between what is normal is like the first time to 12 months is normal. So my doctor doesn't allow testing until you've been trying for a full year. And so at that time I was 28. So I consider that still very young, and, there shouldn't really be any issues at that point. So when we didn't get pregnant within that first year, I had gone to get tested first. And they tested me through the HSG test, I believe it's called. It's a big, long name. I'll never be able to pronounce it, but it's also known as the dye test, and it's an x-ray where they shoot dye through your uterus, and it like fills up your uterus and it goes into your fallopian tubes, and at the very same time they're doing an x-ray so they can see if there's any blockages in your tubes, if you have cysts or growths or whatever. So they did that for me, and if you guys are interested, I do have a video of my experience on that you can go back to. But everything came out clear. There were no issues. My tubes were completely clear. And they say once you have a test like that done, because you're completely like being flushed out, that it ups your chances to get pregnant. So backtracking, I never had issues with ovulating, and I've always had like consistent menstrual cycles. So that was never an issue either. So sorry you can hear the dogs. After that, I think it was maybe a month went by, and then Chris had his first semen analysis done, and the only thing that really showed like something could be possibly wrong is that he had low motility. Everything else was normal. His count was super high. What's the other one? Morphology was on the lower end of normal, but it still fell in normal limits. So we kind of thought maybe that's where the issue lies. There's no issues with me. Maybe it's because his sperm aren't swimming completely straight. They're just kind of swimming in circles and they're not getting where they need to go. So we put Chris on a supplement called fertility, and I think he had 2 semen analysis. Oh my God, I can't ever say that word. 2 semen analyses. I don't freaking know. He had 2 of them done before the fertility, and they both kind of showed the same thing, like low motility. Then once he was on the fertility, which I also have a video of if you're interested, his numbers went sky high. Like everything was on the high end of normal. Everything looked great. So with that, we thought, this is it. This is how we're going to get pregnant. We fixed it, and obviously that didn't work out for us. There was some other underlying issues that we weren't aware of at this time, and we went to go see a doctor, a fertility doctor, and that was really heartbreaking for me because I never thought we'd have to go that far into this. I just never thought there would be this many issues going on. So that was a heartbreak, and I went to a doctor. She was a female doctor, and right off the bat, I just didn't like her. She stopped me in the middle of me trying to explain my history and just asked me a really stupid question. It was off topic, and I just felt like it was kind of rude. And I really felt like you're a number there. It's where I live, she's like the #1 doctor. And she does get a lot of people pregnant, but, you have to be able to trust your doctor and you have to be able to feel comfortable, and I just didn't with her. So although we did go to her, it was more just for the consultation, and then when she told us that the IUI was going to cost us over $3,500, we're like, no way. Like, we just can't afford something like that. So, and an IUI, now looking back, isn't really going to up your chances that much. I mean, it does a little bit, but looking back at like everything I've gone through, an IUI is just doesn't really up your chances that much. So to pay that much money with a doctor I didn't like on a gamble, which is all it is, it was just, I wasn't going to do it. So after that, I think it was maybe, when did I have my first IUI? Sorry. July of 2012 was our first IUI, and this was with a new doctor that we found through a friend, and I really did like this doctor. She kind of reminded me more of like a little detective than like a fertility doctor. Like, she wanted to know why we were having issues. She really wanted to get us more testing done. Like, I really felt like if there's anything wrong, she's going to be the one that figures it out. So we went forward with an IUI with her in July of 2012, and I honestly, when that did not work, I can't even describe to you the devastation, because there was nothing else pointing to anything being wrong with Chris or myself. She did tested Chris for sperm antibodies, which was good because, you know, just to get it out of the way. If you haven't had that done and it's just something you haven't heard of, and you're struggling with male factor infertility, I would suggest getting the sperm antibodies test done. Chris luckily did not have sperm antibodies, so we did go forward with the IUI, and obviously it failed, and I was so devastated, heartbroken, like you can't believe, and I pretty much felt like I had lost all hope. The only thing that kept me going was that the doctor said, I usually do 3 IUIs with people. If it doesn't work by the 3rd time, then we start looking into IVF. And at that time in my life, the word IVF was not on the table. I never in my life ever thought I would be doing in vitro fertilization, ever. The cost of it was crazy, and I know we would never have $30,000 to do something like that. And I just didn't feel like we needed something so drastic. I really didn't. So we went forth with the second IUI back to back in August. The only thing that I was on was Clomid. And I did end up getting like 2 or 3 follicles each time. So everything looked good. And of course it didn't work and it failed. And Chris and I said, we're done. I mean, not done trying naturally on our own, but done with this doctor. And the reason I'm saying that, like, going back, I don't know if I made a video about it. I'm sure I did. I've forgiven her by now, but I realized that I don't want to call her a quack, but she had the nurse do all the procedures. She had the nurse take my blood work. When the tests were negative, she had the nurse call me. Pretty much the nurse did everything, and then when I went to get all my paperwork to switch doctors, she charged me the legal amount, the highest legal amount possible. She never, asked why I wanted to change. She just did not care about me, and obviously I didn't care about her. So we were done with that doctor, and Chris and I started seeing a counselor because I was highly, highly depressed at that point. I really didn't have hope for our future with children. It was just a really dark, devastating time of my life. And that sucked because right around that time was when my sister-in-law was getting married, my little sister was getting married, and I wanted to be this happy person, and I always thought I would be pregnant around their weddings. And, all this stuff goes through your head when you're trying to get pregnant. You'll think, oh, by then I'll be like 3 months pregnant, and whatever. It didn't work out. So I started seeing a counselor, and in the midst of all that, one of my friends she actually did my makeup for my wedding. She became a really good friend of mine, and she was given a doctor's name, and that doctor was given to me, and that's the doctor that I have now. And he's very successful. He's in a different state from us, which was kind of weird because I had to drive far to go see him, but it was obviously all worth it. When we went up there the first time, this was December of 2012, he said, you had 2 IUIs done. Chris's semen analysis looks okay. There's no real problems with you. If I have to circle what I think the issue was, it might still be on the low end of his motility. We just don't know. So going forward, he said I would suggest maybe another IUI or two, and then if those don't work, we would talk about other procedures. Well, at that time, Chris's insurance was ending. He got laid off in November, and we had this amazing insurance up until a point. And when we told the doctor that, he looked into the insurance, and IVF was covered partially. It wasn't anywhere near $30,000, which was awesome. But as soon as they threw the word IVF out, I started bawling, because you just don't, like, when you're going through this, you don't ever think you're going to have to do something so drastic. And when you think of IVF, the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, needles. Oh my God, surgery. Oh my God, hospital stays, like calling off of work. Like, my mind was spinning. And anyway, we did IVF. We jumped right into it. We did IVF December and January. Actually, I think it was more like January into February of 2013. And when that failed, you guys know I can't even describe it. I was blindsided. How could that not work? I can't understand how IVF did not work for us the first time. And thank God my doctor is very highly educated, and he put us through for a test on my end, which tests my blood to see if I had natural killer cells. And turns out that I do have natural killer cells, which is kind of rare, but at the same time, I hear a bunch more stories now coming forth that they also have natural killer cells, and pretty much that's cells in my body that attack an embryo before it can ever even implant. So maybe Chris and I did get pregnant a couple times, but my body attacked the embryo before it could implant, so we would never know, because we would never get that far. So with this next round, we did the first round of IVF and it failed, and the doctor suggested we do fresh back-to-back because he wants to harvest more eggs while I'm still young, while my eggs still have good quality. And I was scared out of my mind because it's so much. It's so taxing on your body. You're putting so many hormones in your body. It's a lot. And from that second round of IVF, we harvested a ton of eggs. I think I had 28 eggs. But from that, I got really sick. I got ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, so we had to put the transfer on hold. And I just had the frozen embryo transfer this past July 18th. And it turns out it worked, and I'm pregnant. And it's just all thanks to God. I mean, people ask me if they think like, oh, well, it worked because your doctor did this time, and you did intralipids and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but God played the biggest hand in it. God created Chris's sperm to be fine. God created my eggs to be fine. God created it to fertilize. God created the embryo itself. You know, God's still inside of me making this baby right now, and all thanks are to God. So I just want to reiterate that like everything I did, all the testing I had done, it's all leading up into this moment. And I would not have this relationship I have with God if I didn't go on this incredibly difficult journey. God loves me enough that He wanted my attention. He wanted this relationship with me, and this was the only way for it to happen. So when you guys look at the horrible things you go through in your life, I just want you to like take a step back and realize like it's for a bigger reason. And I'm just so blessed that, you know, this is how I got my calling, and this is how I was reborn again. And it wasn't through cancer. It wasn't through a death in my family. It's, you know, what I went through is hard, and I don't wish it upon anybody. But at the same time, I look at other people's lives and I think like, wow, like I am really blessed, even though I had to go through some really difficult stuff and really dark places in my life. I'm here where I am now. I'm pregnant. I think I'm 5 weeks and 3 days, but I don't have my first ultrasound until like the middle of August. So I don't know if that'll change then, but I hope this video is helpful. If you guys have questions, please leave them below. I'm sure I left a ton of stuff out, but I don't want this video to go on too much longer. And I think that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.